Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 2025 U.S. Army Medical Center of Excellence Drill Sergeant of the Year competition ceremony, hosted by Brigadier General Clinton K. Murray, Commanding General, U.S. Army Medical Center of Excellence, and Command Sergeant Major Victor Lerigione, Command Sergeant Major, U.S. Army Medical Center of Excellence. We would like to welcome our special guest, Command Sergeant Major Jesus Gonzalez, Command Sergeant Major, representatives from the Texas Daughters of the American Revolution State Office, Mr. Dan Mishkett, Senior Military Affairs Representative for United Services Automobile Association, representing First Command, Lieutenant Colonel Retired Bran Calvetti, representing Boeing Company, Mr. Richard Delgado Jr., representatives from the San Antonio USO and previous Medical Center of Excellence Drill Sergeants of the Year, 2022-23, Sergeant First Class Patrick Vela, 2023-24, Staff Sergeant James Madison, 2024-25, Master Sergeant Angel Rangel Garcia, and the current Medical Center of Excellence Drill Sergeant of the Year, Staff Sergeant Michael Navarro. Brigade and battalion command teams, directors, soldiers, and civilians of the Medical Center of Excellence, we are honored by your presence. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the invocation by Chaplain Damian Harper, 232nd Medical Battalion Command Chaplain, followed by the singing of the national anthem by Sergeant First Class Cordell Foster.
I invite you to pray in your own faith tradition as I'll be praying in mine. Let us pray. God of power and perfect existence, I humbly approach your throne with thanksgiving in my heart to ask for your blessing and presence on this Drill Sergeants of the Year ceremony for the Medical Center of Excellence. I thank you for each of the drill sergeants who embraced the challenge to participate. No doubt it took courage and sacrifice to accept such challenge. The sense of excellence and precision by which a drill sergeant must operate are a testament to the strong values and person that each of these persons are. May you restore their strength and fuel them with your courage and hope. And as we celebrate the drill sergeant who will be named Drill Sergeant of the Year, may our acknowledgement of such person be an inspiration to us all. May it reignite in us the purpose of why we serve and what and who we defend. And may we all leave from this ceremony with a resounding sense of commitment to the values on which the Army and our nation is found. Lord, grant us your wisdom as we prepare for the unknown, and continue to bless all our drill sergeants as they lead the charge to provide the Army with fit and competent soldiers. Continue to bless the leadership of the Medical Center of Excellence and all persons who play a role in this competition. It is in your holy name I pray. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today to recognize our Drill Sergeant of the Year competitors and to announce the Medical Center of Excellence 2025 Drill Sergeant of the Year. Each competitor participated in a grueling 2 days of continuous operations designed to measure their knowledge, technical and tactical skills, physical endurance, mental toughness, overall combat readiness, and competence as U.S. Army Drill Sergeants. This year's Drill Sergeant of the Year competition consisted of the Army Combat Fitness Test, Rifle Qualification, Warrior Task and Battle Drills, Drill Sergeant Pitches, Land Navigation, Foot March, Written Exam, and an Oral Board. This year's Drill Sergeant of the Year has proven to be the top-performing drill sergeant in the Medical Center of Excellence and has mastered all tasks necessary to teach and train and lead soldiers, ensuring that they are fully prepared to enhance the Army's lethality and effectiveness. Ladies and gentlemen, this year's Drill Sergeant competitors are, from the 188th Medical Battalion, Sergeant First Class Michael Griffin. Sergeant First Class Kevin Ndugu. Staff Sergeant Cassandra Alcala. And Sergeant Trenton Williams. From the 232nd Medical Battalion, Sergeant First Class Richard Kennedy. Staff Sergeant Lucas Ritter. Staff Sergeant Jimmy Giffen. Staff Sergeant Rogelio Alcala. And Staff Sergeant Stephen Black. From the 264th Medical Battalion, Staff Sergeant Zachary Babin. Staff Sergeant Timothy Butcher. And Staff Sergeant Devontae McKenzie. Please join me in a round of applause in recognition of all the competitors and their tireless efforts. In a moment, we will announce MEDCoE's 2025 Drill Sergeant of the Year winner and this year's runner-up. Today's Drill Sergeant of the Year winner will go on to compete at the TRADOC Drill Sergeant of the Year competition this fall. The runner-up will conduct training alongside this year's winner and will at times be responsible for conducting the Drill Sergeant of the Year responsibilities in their absence. But first, please enjoy this short video recapping the competition.
How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? Are you well rested? Who said who?
Good run. Did 4 laps around half-mile track and gave it all.
Left feet. Eddie.
I'm going to go inspection arms from order arms and order arms from inspection arms. The M16/M4 is clear.
Demonstrator, attention. You will now become my assistant instructor. All out. Yeah.
Exercise. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Everybody, come on, move.
I got you covered.
Moving.
Jack, arms. Take arms.
Demonstrator. Coach.
Please welcome Command Sergeant Major Victor Largione, Command Sergeant Major, U.S. Army Medical Center of Excellence.
All right, good afternoon. How's everyone doing? Good afternoon. How's everyone doing? Are y'all excited? I'm excited because we're getting ready to announce the Drill Sergeant of the Year for the Medical Center of Excellence. First, I want to thank a couple of people, obviously Sergeant Major Gonzalez, Colonel Williams, Sergeant Major Churchill, all the command teams. Thank you for coming out, but also thank you for supporting this competition. These competitions don't run themselves, and without the support of all of the cadre that went out there and helped make it happen, we wouldn't have done it, right? It would not have happened. And I think if you have to ask the competitors, they recognize that it was well planned out, well executed, even though we had some rain and thunderstorms, lightning, rain, some delays. But ultimately, we made it happen. It was a really good competition. So thank you, one, to the command teams, but all the cadre that supported. I also really want to thank MEDCoE for putting this together. Now, he had a little bit of help with the G357 and team, but he took on the brunt of the planning, and he did a really great job. So MEDCoE Navarro, where you at? He's in the back. Let's give him a round of applause. Now, if you watched the video, you saw that we did an ACFT. This was a historic event for our drill sergeants. It was the very last time, for record, they would do the overhead ball throw. And they were all very excited about the last time throwing the ball over their head. Am I lying? Look at very exciting times. But after the ACFT, then they were able to get out to Camp Bullis in process, hit the range, do their pitches, do their Army Warrior task and battle drills, some land navigation, as well as a foot march. And they all really enjoyed the foot march, is what they told me. In the board, I asked each one of them what was the best part of the competition. And most of the competitors said something about camaraderie. It was a good team building event with them and their fellow drill sergeants. Some of them talked about the caliber of drill sergeants that they were competing with and how they were excited to know that there were others like them. Some of them talked about how well the competition ran, and they appreciated that. Most of them said something about the Army Warrior task and battle drills and the pitches and how well that was designed. But the mass majority of them, when I said what was the worst part of the competition, said it was the foot march. And it was because it was hot and humid and it was really humid because it just rained that morning. The sun started coming out, and it was hot and humid. And earlier today, I was talking to them a little bit about the potential for the theater of operation we may go into. It will be hot, and it will be humid, and the conditions will not be the best. But these drill sergeants they took on that challenge. They fought through the pain. They fought through the heat. They ate the humidity, and they came out successful. So it was, again, a good competition, and I'm truly proud of every one of you that stepped up, took on that challenge, competed well, and we're getting ready to announce the winner. Cool? All right, last, for our community partners, the Daughters of the American Revolution, thank you always for coming out and supporting our Drill Sergeant of the Year competition. It's been, I don't know, 30, 40 years that you've come out and supported us. So thank you so much for always being so supportive of us. And then our other community partners, thank you for coming out and helping us recognize our elite warriors here. So, all right, without further ado, let's go.
At this time, the Medical Center of Excellence Commanding General and the Command Sergeant Major will present the award to the 2025 Medical Center of Excellence Drill Sergeant of the Year winner and runner-up. We ask that you please remain seated during the presentation of the awards and the publishing of orders. The runner-up for the MEDCoE Drill Sergeant of the Year is Sergeant First Class Richard Kennedy from 232nd Medical Battalion. Sergeant First Class Richard Kennedy is being presented with an Army Achievement Medal. Attention to orders. The Army Achievement Medal is being presented to Sergeant First Class Richard Kennedy for outstanding achievement as runner-up for the 2025 U.S. Army Medical Center of Excellence Drill Sergeant of the Year. His professional excellence and dedication are in keeping with the highest standards of military service and reflect great credit upon himself, the United States Army Medical Center of Excellence, and the United States Army. Signed, Clinton K. Murray, Brigadier General, Commanding. He is also receiving a MEDCoE backpack containing a MEDCoE branded knife, Bluetooth speaker, and additional items. And now, the 2025 MEDCoE Drill Sergeant of the Year is Staff Sergeant Zachary Babin from 264th Medical Battalion. Staff Sergeant Zachary Babin is being presented with an Army Commendation Medal. Attention to orders. The Army Commendation Medal is presented to Staff Sergeant Zachary Babin for outstanding meritorious achievement as the Medical Center of Excellence 2025 Drill Sergeant of the Year. His professionalism, motivation, physical fitness, and mental stamina resulted in his selection above his peers. Staff Sergeant Babin's professional excellence and dedication are in keeping with the highest standards of military service and reflect great credit upon himself, the United States Army Medical Center of Excellence, and the United States Army. Signed, Clinton K. Murray, Brigadier General, Commanding. He is also receiving the Drill Sergeant of the Year pistol belt and a Drill Sergeant statue from the Medical Center of Excellence. The wearing of the pistol belt as a badge of rank and status can be traced back to 1944 during World War II, when the Army began issuing pistols to general officers. Drill sergeants have been intermittently wearing the pistol belt since the program's inception in 1964 as an organizational standard to represent the hardened, disciplined professional. In 1999, the Drill Sergeant Academy adopted the custom, and over time, drill sergeant leaders became known as the belted ones. The pistol belt is only worn by a select few. The only drill sergeant at the U.S. Army Medical Center of Excellence to wear a belt is the Drill Sergeant of the Year. It signifies the exemplary behavior, knowledge, mentorship, and professionalism. In addition, he is receiving a MEDCoE backpack containing a MEDCoE branded knife, Bluetooth speaker, and additional items. Now, we invite Ms. Susan Johnston, State Regent for the Texas Society Daughters of the American Revolution, to the stage. Ms. Susan Johnston will now present the Drill Sergeant of the Year with a $200 check and an engraved nameplate that will be added to the Drill Sergeant of the Year plaque, displayed in the MEDCoE headquarters foyer. At this time, we invite Mr. Daniel Mishket from USAA to the stage. Mr. Daniel Mishket will now present the Drill Sergeant of the Year with a $100 Visa gift card, U.S. Army acrylic, and a USAA challenge coin. Please join us in a round of applause as we thank all of the 2025 MEDCoE Drill Sergeant of the Year competition sponsors. Will the USO representative, Mr. Mark Young, please come to the stage? Mr. Young.
Sorry about that, sir.
The MEDCoE Commanding General and Command Sergeant Major will present a certificate of appreciation to the United Service Organization in recognition of their exceptional efforts and dedication in supporting the 2025 MEDCoE Drill Sergeant of the Year competition. Their generous support provided resources and morale-boosting services that directly enhanced the experience of all competitors and cadre. Their professionalism and commitment were vital to the competition's success, fostering esprit de corps and reinforcing the bonds between our service members and the community. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commanding General of the U.S. Army Medical Center of Excellence, Brigadier General Clinton K. Murray.
So it's great that we're doing this indoors. I'm sure you appreciate that. It's a little hot out there, a little humid, so it's a wonderful opportunity. I also want to just thank a lot of group, our civilian sponsors. Really, we couldn't do this without you. And really, this is Military City USA, and thanks for all that you mean to us and all the impact you have all the time. And then Chaplain, I think you're back in the back. Great, there you are. Great words, really do appreciate it. And what an amazing rendition of the national anthem. Give him a big round of applause for that. And I still think the MC job is pretty stressful. You handled that very well. And then what an amazing audio-visual team. Put that video together that quickly, really highlighted the competition. And then they're always in the background doing just amazing work and making us look so good. I think they always get my good side also, which is sort of nice. And then if you're part of the cadre who helped run this, could you stand up for us? There it is. Give them a big round of applause. Thanks. Appreciate it. And then, again, I also want to just thank all the command teams and really everyone that was involved in getting these folks out there to be so successful, but also their families. Drill sergeants are away from their families an amazing amount of time. And then you layer something on top of this, especially when we do it over the weekends and we throw a couple big thunderstorms in the middle of it. Not an easy event, so congratulations. It really is exciting to see you all up. Y'all can take a deep breath a little bit over there. There you go. A little stress. It's drill sergeant. You always look stressed, though, right? So as I was sort of prepping for this, I know a little bit about drill sergeants. Mostly they wear hats that I don't get to wear. I think that's about all I really appreciated before. But I went on the website today to actually learn a little bit more about them. And there was some really impactful statements that the Army thinks about our drill sergeants, right? They describe it as truthfully the most demanding job in the Army, but also the most rewarding job in the Army. And I think that's really true. It also is a job that requires an awful lot of a balance between the art and science of leadership. The science is making sure you do those Army warrior task and battle drills, you qualify in the rage. But that art is how do you break that person and build them back up? And you do it with dignity and respect. And that's what y'all are truly amazing at. And then if we could pull up the picture that had all the competitors up there, I'd appreciate it. The other thing that I didn't fully appreciate is the drill sergeant identification badge. And actually, there's a lot of symbolism in there. At the top of it is actually 13 stars representing the original 13 colonies. And then in the middle, you actually have the torch. And it's actually the torch of liberty. And I think that concept is really important. And then the breastplate is actually a breastplate of strength. And then the background is in green, reflective as the Army changed its green color every now and then. When this came out, it was the current green color. And then there's a snake across it that comes from the 18th century, highlighting this country's independence. And it's based upon the motto, don't tread on me. And then at the bottom, it's actually covered up, that says, this will defend. This we will defend. And it's our Army motto. And I think it's incredibly important that all of that is on that identification badge because it highlights what you all do. The other thing I learned about is that cool hat, right? Been around since 1883, initially a greenish color, 1911, changed to the brown color. I think they had to flatten it out. But the females have a hat, because the females weren't always drill sergeants. And in 1972, they came out with their hat, actually built off the Australian bush hat. Of the two, I think the female is a little bit cooler than the male, but just putting that out there. The other thing that really impressed me as I was doing the research is I didn't fully appreciate the drill sergeant creed. If you have the opportunity, grab the bulletin. In there, it's actually pretty impactful creed. And one of the lines I truly appreciate, it talks about pride. It talks about pride in that those they train, it talks about pride in themselves, it talks about pride in our Army, and it talks about pride in our country. If you can't put four more important words together and highlight what is so impactful to the drill sergeants, I don't know what you can do. But what I do know is those words are the basis of everything in the Army, and everything in Army medicine starts with a drill sergeant. The first person that new recruit meets when they're actually showing up is the drill sergeant. You're the one that teaches them the Army values. You're the one that teaches them the warrior ethos. You're the one that teaches them about the profession of arms. And you do that through AIT, you do that through BASIC, and you do that by just walking around, holding us all to the standards and disciplines that we should hold each other to, but you're the centerpiece of how we do it right. So congratulations. Congratulations for being that most important part of building a civilian to a soldier, and it all starts with you. And what's amazing about this group in the front is you're the best of the best. You went out there, you competed, and you showed how incredibly talented. And yes, one person won, but I guarantee when you watch the video and you hear the cadre, you all did amazing. So congratulations. Let's give them one more round of applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, to conclude our ceremony, we ask that you please stand and join along as we sing the Army Song. At the completion of the Army Song, the competitors will be standing by at the stage, and we welcome you to come congratulate them all. Thank you for attending today's ceremony. At this time, the competitors can make their way to the front of the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending today's ceremony.